Well, what you're doing, kind of, and what I've seen kind of across the AI space is kind of these specialized, vertical based, kind of niche AIs that are a lot harder and than people think. On the
Yeah,
surface, it sounds like you're just training it on some select data and then saying, ask a question and you get an answer. But life
yeah.
sciences, I imagine, is very different, especially in the commercial analytics space. Walk us through kind of why this is different than just kind of that
Yeah.
traditional Gen AI, LLM use case.
That's a great question, Russ. And I think this is where, and I don't know if you look at the trend of what AI is happening, and we are talking about generic kind of data infrastructure providers, and then we have horizontal kind of agents providers, right? And what we have done is we have actually built an agentic AI platform, which is an evolution from our Parthenon, which is Athena, which I can talk about that later. But specific to life sciences, okay, in each of those steps that I just described to you, okay, the data. So now look at the data, just ingesting the data, right? Very specifically how it gets used, okay, is if you look at other industries, especially if you look at consumer products, etc., there is a high volume of data, but the variety is not that much. I mean, we go to the 3 V's or 4 V's of big data, right? We people focus on velocity, volume, veracity, and variety, right? What happens is in pharma, variety is different because the whole data distribution flow of products and the various the number of stakeholders that are involved in the process are totally different. The volume is not that high. There are like a few 100,000 doctors at the end of the day. For that's 100,000 records is nothing in a consumer product company, right? So the variety is high. So that's where the challenge is. Now, what that means, the other thing is the data comes in through multiple sources, okay, and so you've got to make sure that they all connect properly, they get cleaned up, okay. So those are the challenges. Now the second step is then how you use the data, and it depends upon the use case at the end. Are you trying to address an operational problem, or are you trying to address a strategic problem, right? Because sometimes there will be holes in data, right, which you need to fill, right, to make that decision. Example is, let's say you're trying to do a sales forecast, right? Let's say some data reporting messed up over that particular time period. Now you're trying to tell the customer, look, you lost sales, but actually you might not have lost sales, right? Because of some reporting issues. And this is the insight that you have from having done this in the past. Okay, that's having the domain. Now also you integrate the data when you talk about integrations, right? There are various joins or etc. If you get too a bit technical, you can miss some of them, but we know some of them are usual, some of them are not unusual. So we need to have that domain knowledge. Same thing with business rules, applying business rules. How do you take these data, aggregate them up? What is supposed to be included, what's supposed to be not included? Again, that's domain knowledge. Okay, that's our pharma specific knowledge. And that changes not only by within pharma, within therapeutic classes. For example, an oncology product which has a specific distribution channel has a totally different approach doing that versus a mass market product like cholesterol reduction or diabetes. Okay, so these are kind of the nuances which become very important because ultimately the insights are going to be consumed by business users to make decisions, and they all need to make sense. Okay, and they have to have a certain pattern. Okay, they have to be explainable as kind of the people describe. So that's our differentiation, which is, and that's the specific domain specific expertise that we bring. And we call ourselves hyper vertical. So it's like not even vertical. Vertical would be, people say healthcare is vertical. No, actually we are pharma. That's number one. Number two, we are commercial. We don't do manufacturing. We don't do R&D. Some overlap is there, but it's all about commercial sales and marketing. So that's the hyper vertical agents applications that we are building, which are very specific to solving the business problems of our, and we understand the business users very, very